call for posterity, okay, in case some people always want a copy so they can review some things. So what we're going to do is, before we get started, we always have the people introduce themselves, say a little bit about their background, right? So, right, Julie, you can do that. You can say, if you where you're going to school, what you're studying, and then why you want to volunteer possibly with an organization like myself. Brett, you can go into your background a little bit, and away we go. So, Julia, you're up.
Okay, so hi, my name is Julia, and I'm a sophomore at William and Mary, and I'm planning on majoring in either finance or marketing, but I hope to later get into more of like the public or healthcare administration, like parts of business. And I'm really interested in potentially volunteering at this organization because one, I heard it through Rebecca and I did a lot of research about it. And it's something that I think I'm very passionate about. I work at a daycare. And so I've kind of learned a lot about the importance of kind of giving back to not only the community, but to others in need of it. And I also was hoping to learn maybe about possible like internships, like through this organization and kind of how it can connect like my passion for helping others as well as with my major in business.
We have both internships that are really literally the best in the country, because what we do is we give you real world experience in the area that you're interested, or areas that you're interested in. We have over 50 different disciplines, and they're not just internships, they're mentorship training programs. Very, very different. And regardless of what field you're going into, we add in what we call 8 foundation disciplines: communication, business, marketing, management, office technology, research and problem solving, and time management. Because those are the skills that you need to have working together for you to move from a worker mentality, which is what school teaches you to do. That's to go ahead and complete tasks, okay, to really being management and leadership material. And the
Yeah, I
people who get
definitely agree.
promoted, the people who have leadership material, are the people who have those skills that I just described. So
Right.
you'll work on real world programs that actually make a difference. And one of the things I ask my students, and we have undergraduates from and graduate students, postgraduate students from NYU, Columbia, University of Pennsylvania. We're accepted by Harvard, MIT, all the way out to schools in California, Florida, you name it. And what we do is, we give them that that bridge to the real world. Because if you think about all the classes you had leading up to college, all the assignments that you did, all the tests that you took, and right, even though your college career has been brief, right? The same thing applies. How many of those things impacted other people's quality of life? Okay, you're doing, work at a daycare. That's possibly impacting someone's quality of life. But in the courses that you took, in the assignments that you did, I'd venture to say not very many had that connection. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct.
So what we want to do in terms of educational reform is to change the way people learn. Because right now it's education for education's sake, it seems, and it costs way too much money, takes way too much time, where we no longer can afford that luxury. In 2 to 5 years, we're going to have a tremendous shortage in the healthcare profession, just like the airlines are experiencing. Okay. And because of that shortage, people are going to die. people's quality of life are going to be affected adversely. So we're going to be going to Congress. We're going to be going to the states. We're going to be going to the superintendents of schools and the universities in order to get them to change their curriculums, to rewrite the laws for licensing and certifications so that it shortens the time. There's no reason why you've got to put in 12 years, right, to get your MD. There's no reason why to become an RN, you've got to have 4 years. Okay, so the thing is, people need to have more hands-on practical experience in the fields that they're going into. And there's thousands of years of track record in this, and it's called apprenticeship, because that's how people learned before. Okay, and the wrong way to do the system is what we have in effect today. So I went to law school because I wanted to help people. When I was growing up, I had a very difficult childhood with family. And I started working when I was 11 years old in New York City to get away from being in the house. And while I was working, I met other people in the neighborhood who took an interest in me. And I was like, why are they talking to me? I'm 11 years old. I don't know anything. I called myself a snot-nosed kid, right? Why did they, you know? And, but the point is, right, they took time, they talked to me about personal stuff, about their own life, right? Some people took me to lunch and talked when I wasn't working. And this happened in other places, in other jobs that I had, and other volunteer opportunities with parents, friends, teachers. And I knew I couldn't repay the people directly, but they helped me tremendously deal with the issues I was going through. And so I decided that I would go to law school and help people. So I went to law school, and I found out that I was very naive. I found out that it wasn't about helping people. Okay, people were in it for the money. And I did my internship with the Attorney General's office in Albany. I grew up in Florida, so I went to University of Florida for my undergraduate and my grad and law school. And then I did my internship in the Litigation Bureau in Albany, writing memorandums of law on public health and other issues. And I did real well. They offered me a job. And I said, thank you, I'm flattered, because it really was one of the best positions in the country. And I went back and I quit because I felt like I was a hired gun. I felt like just because I can do something and do it well didn't mean that that was the right way to approach the problem. And I knew that there are other ways to handle situations that were not adversarial, that wouldn't cost people an arm and a leg, okay, that could be done differently. So I wanted to go into a profession or where I could help people, but do it in a better fashion. So I went into business, and I opened up a marketing, design, and printing company that was added later, because when I was undergraduate, my majors were literary criticism with a specialization, well, English lit with a specialization in literary criticism, where you had to analyze works of literature, you had to write about it, and your skills had to be kind of off the chart, you know, because both of those things don't really go together. And I started the school's literary magazine. And based on that, that's when I wanted to go into the printing, design, and marketing business. And when I was doing that, I designed a prototype for a national newsstand magazine that was psychologically and sociologically based on helping people with all types of relationships, intimate, family, friendship, and work. I moved to New York. I pitched it to Time Warner and Cable News. They both liked it. They both offered me contracts. And 6 months later, I was publishing a national newsstand magazine that helped thousands and tens of thousands and more of people. Okay. Now, magazine publishing is extremely competitive, extremely expensive. And I spent all my time on content, right? Not a lot on the business side, because that was more important to me. Okay. But I've done everything from a best-selling relationship game. I went through a board game design phase and I designed games, was invited by Hasbro to show product at their headquarters when they don't accept product from outside developers. I've done startup entrepreneurial businesses in different fields. And then about a dozen years ago, I gave it up to start my first nonprofit, 16 Things Kids Can Do, because I realized that I had ventured away from my original mission. I was making companies look good, but I wasn't helping enough people directly. So people always said to me, why don't you go and teach? Because you do education. And I say, yeah, that's not for me. I enjoy doing it. I was offered a professorship when I was an undergraduate, okay, in my department, because they knew I was going to law school, but I was stopped and approached and said, if it doesn't work out, if you don't like it, come back to the University of Florida, come back to the department, right? We really could use good professors. So I didn't do that. I opened up my business, and then they gave me a lot of business. And so did the law school too. So, hey, it kind of worked out as far as that's concerned. But the thing is, I'm not interested in helping 30 students at a time, 300 students a year. Okay? To have the impact that we want to have on other people, we need to set our sights higher. We need to break the mold in systems that aren't working. So the people that we want to put through our mentorship program are people who are willing to go ahead to learn how to do things differently than what they're taught in school, and who have the desire and the determination and the commitment to doing things at a much higher level. And the thing is, you might say, well, I have no idea what you're talking about, how to do that, where to start. That's what you're going to learn during your internship and even during your volunteerism, is I'm going to show you how you are much more connected and much more powerful than you may think. Because you might think, well, I'm not 11 years old, right? I'm not even 22 yet, right? But, right, maybe I can get some people to listen to me, okay? And the answer is yes, you can. And we're going to give you the systems that will enable you to do it at the highest level it's being done in the world. Okay, so how does that sound?
That sounds great.
That's why Rebecca was interested, right?
Yeah.
Very much so. And I'm going to introduce the programs that she was doing, right? Okay, so you can see what that's about. All right, cool. Okay, and Brett, are you able to share a little bit about yourself?
Yes, sir. And I apologize for not being able to be on camera right now. So my name is Brett Scudder. I wear many hats. I work in the behavioral health field, specializing in suicide prevention, dealing with people who are experiencing adverse challenges in life. I'm a suicide attempt survivor. So for me, this is not just a career, this is lived experience, living experience, seeing how the health and mental health system really does not understand pain and suffering, especially emotional pain. So if they don't see something on a CAT scan, an MRI, or an X-ray that's broken, or if you're not bleeding, like blood flushing out of you, they don't know what that pain is like. And so for me, 25 years of work through my own experiences have gotten me to this point of being a provider, running multiple nonprofits, running also a for-profit now around healthcare, and just continuing to do the work of educating and training clinicians, law enforcement educators, and clergy about what mental and behavioral health is and how to address people who are in crisis. and meeting that need. So that's basically me in a nutshell.
And that's great. And like I said before, it is so necessary, so much appreciated, so valuable. And that's why we're getting together, because we need to expand that aid to individuals and to institutions, so that the institutions can work from the top down to benefit their people. So we're going to go through Planned Acts and One Planet, One People programs. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share a lot of information with you both right now. You don't have to take notes. I just want you to listen. And if something resonates with you, then just make a note of that. Okay. And then we're going to circle back. I'm going to have individual conversations with both of you. And what we do is we set up custom programs. So Brett, you already know that, right? And you already know some of the things that we're going to be doing. Julia, you might have heard a little bit from Rebecca, right, about it, but I'm going to talk to you specifically. Okay. So, okay, that's how we're going to proceed. I'm going to go ahead and share screen. And what you're going to see are some of the contents of the one book. This is a book that we're releasing in September. We're launching it actually September 19th. Okay, so the next month we're going out to influencers as well as institutions with information about books and some of the programs. And every month we're releasing a new book, and we're releasing a whole new series of programs as well, until we launch 2023, the year of One Planet, One People. Okay, so this is the cover. And I'm going to skip a lot of pages, okay, because there's just a lot of content in here that people go ahead and read, how they can use the book effectively, and background on myself, the organizations, some of our board of advisors, very well-known, very respected people in industries. But let's start with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. All of our programs are fully aligned with these goals. And inside these goals, it covers mental health, okay? It covers education, all right? So, you know, number 3, good health and well-being. Number 4, education, okay? So we have multiple programs that go into this. And our mission and our programs are based on collaboration between people, institutions, and countries, and are built on the principles of civility, equality, education, action, inclusion, sustainability. In other words, quality of life for all. And we are at the tipping point for humanity. And this decade is going to determine quality of life for billions of people. And like it or not, you know, the time for division is over. Brett, we were talking before about how divided things are and how much more divided they're getting than just, you know, 5-6 years ago before somebody was elected. So we've got to stop the fractional approach to solving these global issues, because they simply don't work. And that's the problem with all the institutions. Okay, so the reason why the pandemic is still so strong, it's because originally there wasn't that unified approach, right, between the city and the states, between the states and the federal government, between countries. Okay, and it's the same thing in other areas. So, you know, you're volunteering, you're doing great work on mental health. Okay, but the problem is that even if you solved it in a particular area, everything you do can come undone if there are other stressors on people. So if people are losing their jobs, right, because of the pandemic, which is a health issue, right, then the suicide rate goes up, okay, which is what you know has happened. Okay, and it's not only gone up with the general population, it's gone up with professionals who are in the healthcare industry. It's gone up with teachers, right, who are dealing with right now new conditions. And it's gone up in a lot of other professions as well. So the thing is that there has to be in place systems that impact all the issues at the same time, not only in the United States, but globally. Okay? Because anything else isn't going to go ahead and do it for the world population. So already we're starting from a point that's vastly different from all the other MPOs in the world, because all the other MPOs basically are set up to be fractional, even within their own industry, because they're in competition for money. So if you went to Columbia School for Nonprofit Management for your master's degree, they're going to teach you, you got to have, one mission, one clear focus. And the reason really is so that you can fundraise. Okay, so organizations are taught not always to work with other organizations because of dollars. And we've got to stop that. And we've got to bring those institutions together to solve these problems. Just like in our internship mentorship program, we're saying what you learned in your profession, in your discipline in school, all that does is make you a worker. So Julia, are you interested in just being a worker, or you want to be in leadership? You want
I
to
want to be in leadership too.
Okay, well, the thing is, the workers aren't the ones who get promoted to leaders. So let's say in programming, you can be the best programmer in your company. You are not getting promoted to management. They want to keep you as a worker. Okay, in order to go into management and leadership, you need those other skills working in collaboration. You need to know what the mission of the company is. You need to know what the objectives are. You need to know how to communicate effectively. You need to go ahead and know how to communicate with coworkers, management, shareholders, stakeholders. You need to know all these other skills that we go ahead and teach. And it's the same thing with these global issues of climate change, pollution, pandemics, war, terrorism, and the inequities in the world, the inequalities. The inequalities are economic. You want to go into finance and business, right? Health, and also social. Racial intolerance, religious intolerance, gender intolerance, right? Things like this. And those problems are not going to be solved by governments and companies alone. They're going to be solved by ordinary people working together on common causes with a common focus and changing the attitude and the behaviors of people on the planet. All of our programs are rooted in psychology and sociology. Okay, so we've got to collaborate to succeed. We've got to collaborate to survive. And what do we do when we meet with people and organizations? We never talk first. We always ask, what can we do for you? What are your objectives? What are your issues? And once we find those out, we then pull from our vast network of programs, what are the best that might help you achieve your objectives? And that's how we work with everyone. So you got it? Okay, cool. And I know Brett's nodding his head. Okay, so what we're launching, actually, this is launching in January 19th. This is the Collaboration Think Tank Network. And we're spending from September all the way through January is introducing this to literally tens of thousands of companies that are in our database from different partners that we have and from other things, and as well as schools, faith-based, and everything else. Okay, so the way this works is we are inviting influencers and the institutions to come in, choose what of the 17 SDGs they're interested in. And for a government, it may be all 17. For a business, it might be 10. For a faith-based, it might be 3. Okay. And then we split them up into meetings. And in the meetings, we set up, what are the objectives that we have to obtain? What are the problems associated with it? And the solutions come from 4 sources. They come from the scientific realm, they come from business, they come from academic, and they come from government. And the solutions have to be actionable by either of 2 groups, either individuals who can take personal and behavioral change on those issues, so they work from the grassroots up, or from institutions where it can be implemented for affecting a lot of people from the top down. And then you have to have the delivery systems to get this information out. So if all you do is write a book about it, it's not enough. So we have books, programs, workshops, courses, events, activities, initiatives designed to reach everyone from kids 4 years old all the way up through retirees. So that's how that's the collaboration think tank system. And our goal in 2023 is to put over 2,000 institutions, 500 per quarter, into the network. And every year add 2,000 plus more. That will make a huge difference in the world. Now, when we go ahead and look at a problem, we call it a collaboration impact area. So we're going to look at the US prison system. And when we do this, we do a lot of research. So from the research, I was able to go ahead and pull out 6 main points that I share, and plus a few extra. So the United States is #1 in the world in prison population, with almost 2.2 million people incarcerated. It has 20% of the entire world's population of prisoners. Now, the 2 most populous countries in the world are China and India. Their combined population is 10 times larger than the United States, yet their prison population combined is equal to what we have. So this is not a good thing for the United States to be #1 in. The cost is $1.2 trillion. That's trillion. Okay, you know how many billion that is? That's 999 billion plus another 200 billion. That's a lot of billions. Okay. If you add up the combined cost associated with Medicare and Medicaid, which are the 2 largest healthcare systems in the country, Julia, that you're interested in being an admin for, okay, you know what their population of clients is 154 million people compared to 2.2 million incarcerated. The total cost of the US healthcare system is 1.4 trillion. Think about that. That 1.4 trillion serves 154 million people. The US prison system cost 1.2 trillion and serves 2.2 million. Do you see there's a large disconnect here? So, and the suicide rate in the prison population is 300 to 400 times greater than the general population, which I'm sure Brett knows. So the thing is that what we want to do is get our programs established at all ages and all levels of a person's development. From school, we have programs like Education for Quality of Life, where it teaches kids planned acts of kindness and about volunteerism and social responsibility, right? For kids as young as 4 years old. And what this will do is it will give people the ability to develop quality relationships and a greater sense of community, which are the two keys to leading happier, healthier lives. Okay, Harvard did a study. It's actually the longest study in the United States. It's called, it starts with a W, I forget the name right now. And it's a generational study. And what they found are that those two keys, right, relationships and sense of community, are the most important things to people's health, happiness, and wellness. Not how much money you make, not how many drugs you take, not how many toys you have. And we've built programs around that, which you'll find out about later. And this is how we get them introduced into the schools. And then what happens is they serve actually as a protective barrier to kids developing mental illness. They serve as an effective barrier to kids developing antisocial behavior. And then we have programs that go into homes, into faith-based, into schools, into nonprofits, government agencies, and businesses. Okay, and you'll find out about what these programs are as we move forward. But the thing is, one of the purposes of these programs that work in collaboration is to provide a lifelong support system for people, regardless of where they are in life. And when we do that, what's going to happen is we're going to reduce the number of people going into prison. And when we put programs into the prison system, we reduce the number of people returning to prison. Because right now, almost 84 out of 100 people who are released go back in. That's a terrible failure rate. Okay, so the additional benefits to society, reduction of people entering and returning to prison, lower governmental expenditures, higher tax revenue. Because you have more people working, that means more people are paying taxes, which contribute, right, to the money needed in other programs. Okay, you've got improved population health and well-being, safer communities, stronger families, lower death and suicide rates, and reductions in gun and domestic violence, reduction in racism, religious and gender intolerance, reductions in substance abuse. So you want to impact the healthcare system, okay? As an administrator, we're talking about impacting the people through programs. There's a huge difference in those two things, as far as I'm concerned. You might think differently. Okay, so this is a collaboration impact area. We're introducing this to governors, to mayors this fall, actually in September, right after they get, right after the August is over, where people return right from vacations. That's when we're introducing this program. And we're going to the superintendents of prisons, the wardens, okay, as well as Congress and everything else. Okay. We do a lot of research. Okay, let's see. This is the collaboration think tank. We have volunteers that come into the network that act as support, and they do everything from data and analytics, meetings and events, marketing and public relations, and business development, right? As back, we have ambassadors that can operate worldwide in support of the programs. And if people and companies don't think they're going to be affected by climate change, well, the data says otherwise. We took a 20-year period, and what we found is the first 16, 17 years, there was not a great uptick in activity in these areas, but in the last 3 years, in the last now 4 and 5 years, right, the uptick has been pronounced. It's been exponential, and the costs associated with it in terms of quality of life, loss of life, as well as dollars in the last 3-4 years have been equal to what's happened in the first 16, 17 years. And that's why in this country and elsewhere around the world, right, in Europe, they're experiencing record heat waves. We just had a doctor come back from India, right, who's been there every year. This time he studied what are the effects of heat on the Indian population. And his conclusion is that in the next, 3 years or so, over 1 billion people are going to be at risk. Because India doesn't have the infrastructure to handle it. And they, 50% of the people work outside, only 3 to 4% have air conditioning, right? And it's tremendously affecting people's quality of life, and people are dying because of it. And the same thing is going to be true in other countries around the world. We might have an infrastructure to handle it in terms of our electrical grid, but that's not going to be sustainable. The electric grid is going to fail, which it has already, okay, at certain times. And when that happens, people die. So if you think that you're going to have the same job, maybe 5-10 years out that you had now, that might not be the case, because your supply chain might be interrupted, like we're seeing with manufacturing for cars, with computer chips and computers. Your customer base might be affected. You on a personal level might be affected, where your personal, where you're living might be flooded, okay, might be subject to hurricane damage. I lived in Arvin by the Sea in Queens, have the house on the beach. And when Hurricane Sandy came through, it wiped out complete neighborhoods on Rockaway Peninsula. And it was mostly from, the sewer system wasn't able to handle it, and that flooded communities, right? The subdivision I was in, right, the property level was raised 17 feet. So, right, it was less affected. But the thing is, right, that's what goes on all over the country. And 2 years down the road, there were homes and businesses that were still not rebuilt. Okay, so the thing is, this type of thing affects everyone. Okay, so that's why it's needed for more and more people to get involved, but get involved the right way to go ahead and handle it. And with the one book we say, what's your mission? What's your passion? Okay, and it's your guide to the collaborative programs needed to help solve social, environmental, and economic issues on a local to global scale at your company, faith-based or nonprofit organization, government agency, school, network, or home. And then we have, we do a lot of the work for people when they volunteer. But again, our philosophy is no matter who you are, you're more connected, more powerful than you may think. You can share the one book or particular programs with your community. You don't have to explain everything that goes into that program. That's what we do. That's our mission. So you make the connection, we build the relationships, and when they collaborate, you get the credit. You're the hero. You made it happen. So if you're interested in affecting the school system, we did the research, and these are all the different ways and groups that you can connect with. If you're interested in connecting with NPOs, these are NPOs in the United States. These are non-governmental organizations around the world. If you're interested in businesses, we got the companies, right? In terms of the categories and the divisions, we got the government agencies, okay? So, and then we got specialty things that people can do inside of companies. We've got income and work opportunities and partnership and sponsorship opportunities with our programs. And we have a Karma Constitution that governs what we do. The Karma Club is a foundation program where every day people wake up and there's a new planned act of kindness that they can do with their friends, family, coworkers, and in their community. And the goal is to have tens of millions of people in the United States, hundreds of millions of people around the world doing exactly the same planned act on the same day and unleashing that much positive, powerful energy into the world. Okay, because as I explained before, the keys to happiness are relationships and community, and that's what Planned Acts enhances in people. And when you do your different activities, it's like karma. The more you do, the greater your rewards. You can level up and then you're eligible for gifts. Our goal is to be giving away hundreds of gifts around the world on a daily basis to random people who have leveled up. And these programs are different than a lot of programs that are offered by NPOs or charitable organizations. You know, when people think of volunteering, a lot of times they think of, oh, I can help out at a soup kitchen, I can help out at a food pantry, I can help out clean a park, I can do a walkathon. Okay, and those are real good. But as people have explained to me, and I've seen, they make you feel good. They don't really have that much of effect on other people. Okay, they're like random acts of kindness. They don't have legs, they don't have staying power. If you didn't volunteer at the soup kitchen, people can feed themselves. They're going to get their food. Okay, so the thing is that we want to give people sustainable programs that are always there, that they can take part in no matter where they are in the world. They can do it remotely. Okay, and at any level they want to go ahead and do it at. And then we want to recognize and reward them for what they do. And the problems of the world, like we said, they're not going to be solved by governments and corporations alone. They're going to be solved by ordinary people working together on common causes with a common focus. And through the Karma Club, we can go ahead and in a moment's notice reach all the members all over the world. And then the goal is for them to collectively come together to get governments and companies to do the right thing for kids, people, and the planet. So the Karma Club, like I said, is a foundation program, and it forms the basis for our education for quality of life, where we put it into schools for kids as young as 4 years old. And they could be making announcements at assemblies, in classrooms, they could be posted. And when kids do the planned acts, they do the engagement, they do some volunteerism, they get recognized and rewarded on a monthly basis for what they do. And this could be a game changer. Okay. When I was speaking, we're a Department of Education vendor in New York City. Before the pandemic, I was speaking to the DOE and the sustainability department about programs. They wanted, right, this program wasn't in existence yet. They wanted the next program I'm going to show you, which is, let's say, the one you graduate to. They wanted to put that in 1,500 schools in New York. I was speaking to the Minister of Education in Beijing, in China. They wanted our One Planet, One People Club program to put that into their educational system. And with the One Planet, One People Club program, people come in, and then based on their interests, and their interests can be graphics, computer programming, business, marketing, right, public health, whatever it is, we then have the programs for them to go ahead and not only develop their skills, but make a difference in other people's quality of life. And this is one of the programs, Julia, that we want to take into the sororities, into the fraternities, to the national, and have them bring it all the way down to chapters, right, and to members, because this can be a game changer, right, for people who are working, where they want to get that real world, they want to get their internship, mentorship, right, experience, they want to do some good, but what they're really providing isn't up to the level where people need. Okay, and then for the fraternities and sororities, what do they need? Well, their objectives are to recruit and retain people into the fraternity and sorority, and they're having greater difficulty with that today than they have in the past because of issues, right? When the fraternities and sororities, it's usually the fraternities, not the sororities, that make the news, it's negative news. So this is a way for them to practice, right, social responsibility and make a huge difference in communities on a local, national, or global scale. Okay. And then we have recognition through video and newsletter programs and PSAs and all that good stuff. We have our internship mentorship program, which I spoke about earlier with the 8 foundation skills. We also give you the Primoros, which is our proprietary project management program. You get an internships of completion certificate, as well as letter of recommendation and resume review and correction, which is professionally done. So that's internship and mentorship. And then we have work programs, educational programs. We have financial educational programs called, one of our courses called Money Matters Mastery. And we get students in finance, economics, and business who are getting their master's degree. All they learn is the Wall Street way money works. They don't learn how money really works, because Wall Street works for Wall Street. Wall Street doesn't work for 95% of the population. So it's very interesting that we go to school for 12, 16, 18, 20, 24 years, and we never really learn how money works. And guess what? That's intentional. Okay, because the schools, the businesses, the government, they all make money from us not knowing. And on top of that, what does the world need? The world needs workers. For you to be a worker, you need to live paycheck to paycheck, essentially. Okay, I just came across an article. 20 million Americans can't afford their utility bills. Okay, and they're falling in arrears. Their utility bills. Okay, those are workers who need to live paycheck to paycheck just to, right, eke out a subsistence. When the federal government, right, didn't renew their budget, they put 700,000 people on furlough. These are federal workers. Okay, within a month, the vast majority couldn't afford groceries, let alone pay their rent. I don't know about you, right? But that's a problem. Okay, and that impacts your health and it impacts your mental health. And we have programs to prevent these things from happening in that way. So we also have programs that go into universities for student athletes to supplement the education that they're getting from the school. And that includes the financial education, that includes, right, the 8 foundation skills. And we've got programs for their parents and for their families as well. Okay, we have, and this goes into it, what's your why, and the course for the Money Matters Mastery. I've written a book on this. This is coming out in October 19th, because we had to wait because of some of the things that were going on in the government. And the reason why I got into this was because as a business person, entrepreneur, I made money. Okay, and when you make money in this country, there's 2 things that you do. You put it into real estate and you put it into the stock market. So I did both. Real estate was always a pain in my, you know what? The stock market, you don't earn money in the stock market. You either win it or you lose it. So I won money and I lost money. And it turned out I lost a lot of money in the stock market, over 6 figures. And I got 2 kids that were going to college. I couldn't afford to lose that. I'm middle class, you know. Now I'm broker. And then that is, I took the real estate, gave it to my ex-wife, and took my retirement and used it to fund my nonprofits for the last 12 years, Brett, right? He knows about that, right? So, you know, we were supposed to launch in 2020. In February of 2020, I was talking at the UN and I presented to them a book on youth mental health. They loved it. They agreed to go ahead and do it. And 2 weeks later, the UN was shut down. In March of 2020, I was supposed to speak at the Excel conference in Philadelphia to 109 churches from the Wesleyan Church, which is an educational church. And I spoke at the conference the year before. The Wesleyan Church asked us to do a book, a 16 Things book on family issues, everything from income inequality to substance abuse, domestic violence, you know, suicide prevention, education. And that conference never happened because of COVID. So you know, a lot of the things that we were going to do in 2020, 2021 got you know, went by the wayside because of COVID. And in 2021, I developed some of the programs that you're looking at, equality of life, the One Book, and some other things which I'll get into. We're going to be done pretty soon. Okay. But the importance for the programs that we have are that they are so needed universally, and they're not being handled properly by our institutions. So these things are designed for everyone. Okay, so it says in the One Book, regardless of your education or income, okay, there are things that you need to know for yourself, you know, for the well-being of your family, right? You know, your future, right? And future generations. And that's what we go ahead and teach. And more than teach, we have the action programs for that. So it's not how much money you make, it's how much you get to keep, period. And what they offer in your 401k for a retirement package only gives you growth. It doesn't give you safety, it doesn't give you protection. One of the things that we put people into are healthcare protections. The number one cause of bankruptcy in this country is healthcare. Okay, and it's not like the surgery Brett and I had, it's long-term care, chronic care, dementia, Alzheimer's. The average cost of that is over $300,000 per person. 7 out of 10 people in the US are going to need that type of coverage. There's not a lot of people running around with $300,000 in the bank in cash. So, you know, I had property, I lived in Forest Hills when I wasn't living at the beach house, and my neighbor across the street, his kids sold his house for $150,000 below market because they needed the money for his health care. That's not quality of life, okay? My grandmother in Florida, we had to pay down all her bank accounts. We had to sell her condo at a loss because she needed the money for her health care. And then finally, when she was bankrupt, that's when the government steps in and tells you where you're going to go for your, you know, for your chronic care and what type of coverage you're going to get. And that is not a good thing. So we go ahead and put people into programs, and we try to get them the maximum that's allowed by HIPAA, which is $10,000 a month, up to $10,000 a month. And they can use it for healthcare. They can use it to pay their rent or pay their mortgage. They can use it to pay a family member who's taking off of work to provide coverage. Okay. Whereas my mother had 2 long-term care health policies that she's had for 40 years. And we've got to jump through all these hoops because now she needs some help, and she's got to qualify and justify and get very limited coverage. That's not a good thing. So these programs are much, much better, and they come with tax advantages as well. And when you need your money the most, when you're retired today, if you're in any one of the pension or the healthcare or the benefit plans by companies, your 401k or 403b for a nonprofit or 457 for a government plan, you're going to be paying taxes on the money you pull out. And you pull it out too early, you get penalties. You pull it out even when you're allowed to, you have taxes. And you don't know what the tax situation is going to be in the future. It's going to be higher. Since the tax code was started in 1913, there have been 62 years when it's been at 50% or higher. And what's been going up year after year is the deficit. So under Trump, it went from $23 trillion to $30 trillion. Today, We've got the war in Ukraine. We've got, you know, the pandemic. We've got student debt. We've got all these things that the government is, you know, and climate change, which the government is putting money into. And where does that money come from? Well, traditionally, it's come from the middle class. The poor don't pay taxes, neither do the rich. Now they're trying to get the rich to pay. We're going to see how that's going to work out. Okay. So the thing is, we have things that people can do today, and it's based on the IRC code. We just use the code that the rich wrote for themselves, and we can apply it to other people. So we have a whole thing that we're building right now for work-life balance and quality of life. One of our programs is Project COPE. It's a health, happiness, and wellness program where people come in, they take an assessment, which is a series of questions that they answer. That gives them their baseline score. They then do the planned acts of kindness, the engagement, the volunteerism, and the app that they have tracks it. And at the end of each month, it shows what their activity levels were, and they retake their assessment. And over time, what they're going to see is the more volunteering they do, the more planned acts of kindness that they do, the greater their health, happiness, and wellness score is. So this is how you achieve better health, better mental health, where you're not taking drugs to do it. Okay. You know, when we do our programs, I create the programs, I do the writing and the design for the programs, and then I take it to professionals who are at the top of the industry to review. So for this program, we brought it to someone who designs clinical trials for Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson. So she reviewed it, and one time we got on the phone and she was laughing. I said, "What's going on?" And she said, "You know, I get paid an awful lot of money to do what I do, design clinical trials." She said, "You created a clinical trial that doesn't use drugs, but can have better outcomes than the drugs. And you did it for a nonprofit. And it's such a fantastic program. This could be a game changer." But I was just laughing because of how much I get paid and you do it for free. So she was great about it. Okay. And this is one of the programs that we want to put into the schools. We want to put in faith-based. We want to put in the MPOs. We want to put it into businesses and governments and make it available. And the thing is that it's part of the health and wellness packages that we're offering to companies through their HR departments. And you'll see about that. So one of the things that we're doing is we're creating home office workspace quality of life programs. They're called work-life balance programs. And we've teamed up with the award-winning architectural and environmental and sustainability corporation out of Asia that built the headquarters for Microsoft in Shanghai. They've done work for Apple Computer, General Electric, you know, all these Fortune 500 companies, including luxury brands like Calvin Klein, Tiffany, for banks, all the financial institutions, and you know, the work that they do is absolutely tremendous. So what we've done is we've created a hub program that moves people out of a centralized office and moves them closer to where people live. But at the same time, as in the technology that they need to be successful, as well as the creature comforts in the offices in order to go ahead and have better quality of life, and the social programs that they need for themselves, but also we make it available to their families, which companies do not do currently, period. Your 401k is only for you. You can't have a 401k for your spouse or for your children. The programs that we provide can go for partners, right? Contractors, spouses, and children, because everybody deserves it. Okay, but then also access to our other programs, Project Hope, mental health, our volunteer programs, everything like that. We also, sustainability is a huge aspect. And what we do is we ask the companies to tell us their problems, and then we'll help provide the solutions while we're adding in the, corporate social responsibility programs for their people. And what that does is it helps them, just like with the fraternities and sororities, it helps them recruit people faster with quicker, better outcomes. And then it helps retain those people because now they have access to things that really mean something to themselves. Okay, including the mental health programs. And we're starting something called the One Green World EduMart. It's a place where green and sustainable products, goods, and services can go so that they can do greater outreach to people's homes, offices, buildings, in the construction field, in the manufacturing field, for food, for energy, for all these different areas. And it's really, really cool. We're going to be doing a 16 Things book on this as well. The 16 Things book, each book has 16 problems that people face. Like I was talking about before, the youth mental health book with the UN, we can still do that. We were asked, I met with Pfizer, and we talked about what their objectives are. They wanted us to do a book on worker safety for their people all over the world. And in turn, we would go ahead and do our workshops and our app so that they can record what they've done. They can get recognition and rewards for what they did. And then, of course, the pandemic hit. So that went by the wayside. They were kind of busy with other things. We were speaking with Kroger Grocery, which is the #2 food manufacturer, grocery chain in the country. And they wanted to do a book on food loss, hunger, and waste, because 30 to 40% of the food that people buys ends up in the trash. And that's a very expensive proposition on both sides of the chain. So we were doing the book for the Wesleyan Church. We were doing the book for the UN. We were doing a women's leadership book. Okay. And then there's multiple ways that we do books, everything from we collaborate with nonprofits and we do fundraising books, right? Brett, we're going to do a partnership book, fundraising book. And then there's also book sponsorships as well. And then we have our Serum, which is a series of workshops on social institutional reform and equality month. We have our Legacy Lifelines Memorial book. This is being released in December. And it allows people to create a keepsake to keep the joy and happiness of a lost loved one alive. And what we're going to be doing is getting sponsorships for these, where companies can brand the book and give them away. And our goal is to give them away to families who lost loved ones due to COVID-19, because that's a devastating thing to lose someone through illness, whether it's suicide, whether it's, what. And the thing is, people then, are devastated, and it can be a lifelong devastation. Okay, so the book allows them to document the good times from their lost loved one, have a book that keeps the stories, right, the activities that they did throughout their life alive. They can share that with other family members. They can share it with future generations, and it helps them heal. Okay. Now we have a lot of programs, also campaigns, our One Table, One World program. We're going to have chefs, famous chefs from different countries, cook food that everyone in the world can cook, not just at a Michelin 5-star, 2-star restaurant. Okay, these are, their choice of, what they want to introduce food from that country to people all over the world. People then on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, after seeing the video from Monday all the way through the week, they get to recreate those dishes, invite family, invite friends over, even do it remotely, videotape what they're doing, and put it into our world video map. And this is how we pull the world closer together, okay, through the joys of food. Okay, we have our Smile and Wave campaign. We want people in schools, in companies, in faith-based, at the end of every meeting to express gratitude, right? And thanks for people getting together and smile and wave. Again, we don't always take the time to treat ourselves well. Life is difficult. It's more difficult today than it's been ever, basically. And the thing is, if we smile more, we're helping ourselves, but we're also making a connection with other people. We're helping them. If they can go ahead and smile back, turn around, and during the day, pass that on to other people, this little ripple can become a wave, and then it can become a tsunami for change around the world. And it all starts with you and a smile. And it's a very simple thing to do that we don't do nearly enough of. So Julia, I don't know if you're happy being on this call, right? But, you know, if you smiled a little, right, then I would see that you're happy, you're engaged, you're glad to be here. And this is one of the things that we teach our students when they go to meetings, right? They need to go ahead and think about their behavior and how it affects other people. Okay, because they're not going to tell you that when you go on job interviews. Okay, even though you went through the Career Resource Center at your school. But in our program, we're going to teach you all the things that you need to know in order to be the best you can be. That's our goal for you. So your professors aren't going to tell you how to engage because they want good reviews. And if they start telling you stuff that you're uncomfortable hearing, like I'm telling you right now, you might not give them that good review, which is going to affect negatively on their career. It's going to affect negatively on their university, and their parents, your parents are going to wonder why you're spending $70,000 a year to go to that school. But our mission is different. Okay, so we do it, and the only thing that's personal about it is that we want you to be the best you can be. Okay, so if companies can institute this as a policy and get their people to do it across the board, even when it's uncomfortable for people, what makes it more comfortable? The more times you do it. It's the same thing about public speaking. It's the same thing about doing a sport, right? Most people aren't born being, right, top athletes. They got to practice and work their you-know-what's off. They've got to have that desire, that determination to do the things that are uncomfortable, okay? And that's what we want to instill in people. Do the things, right, and be the change that you want to see in the world. So we have, right, our Great Pizza Peace Plan Challenge. Who likes pizza? Right? I do, right? Anybody else? Right? And on Zoom, you can raise your hand. Anitha, welcome. Okay, you can raise your hand by going into the, there should be something like a reactions or whatever here at the bottom, and you can always raise a hand. Okay, and the thing is that we're going to get sponsors from pizza companies to put this on their pizza boxes. That's going to have our kindness pledge on the pizza box. Okay, and people are going to be encouraged, right, over pizza to say this pledge and post it in the world video map. Once a month, we're going to have a great pizza peace party worldwide where people can share, right, what they're doing, right, in volunteerism in our programs all over the world on videos and get other people involved, engaged. And the pact pledge simply goes, I hereby make a pact to treat others with respect and kindness and to go through life from this day forward, acting towards others as I would wish to be treated myself. This is Lyle from New York for PlannedActs.org and One Planet, One People. And What this says is, it doesn't matter what my nationality is. It doesn't matter what my language is, because you can do this in any language you speak. We all want the same things in life. We all want respect, and we all want quality of life. Okay, so our goal is to be in all 200 countries with this and having hundreds of millions of people engaged. And this is really cool because we're going to all the pizza companies in the US, all the chains all over the world, and to get them to promote, right, peace with every pizza. Okay, and we know that they eat a lot of pizza on campuses. Okay, so we have our $1 challenge, and that is we're going to all the billionaires in the world, and they're all published on our app, by the way. If you don't have our app, you can scan the QR code above me, put it on your phone, and then you have access through the nav button to a tremendous number of programs where you can learn more about what we do. But as we finish the build this month in September, people are going to be able to go in there, choose what programs they want to work on, and then they get action packs. And every program we have has an 8-step action pack that governs what you need to do to be successful. And if you want to be in management and leadership, one of those additional things you can do is you can build a team to help you exponentially grow and the impact that you're having. So if you're working on a particular program, whether it's suicide awareness and prevention, you can build a team. You can have that team do X, Y, and Z. And instead of reaching, right, 300 people, you can reach 30,000 people. Instead of reaching 30,000 people, you reach 300,000, 3 million. Our goal is for you, and when you're involved in our programs, to be impacting and transforming people's lives, not just educating them. Education, I went to law school, I told you. I took contracts. I didn't learn to write a contract till I was out of law school. That's not a good system. Okay, so that's why we need to have people who are learning what they need to learn and then impacting people and seeing the results of that, so they get to be encouraged, so they want to stay in that profession. Because the statistics today are 3 to 5 years after people graduate, and it might be worse now because of what's going on with COVID, 75% of the people aren't in the field that they studied in school. And I'm one of them. Okay, went to law school, right? Decided, right? Not gonna go down that road. Okay, so we've got to do a better job, and these are things that can help. But our goal is to raise $1 for every one person on the planet. By 2025, 8 billion people on the planet. We want to raise $8 billion, and who we're going to are the billionaires, because in 2020, when COVID hit, in the 9 months of COVID-19 in this country and around the world, their wealth grew 86% during that time. It almost doubled. Yet there are hundreds of millions of people who are working around the world. They lost collectively almost the same amount of money. That's income inequality. Okay, so we need the billionaires to give back. And in the app, there's a mechanism to reach out to them and to get them to do that and to record what they do. And don't worry, we're going to be publicizing it a lot. This, from September 13th through the end of the month, I've paid a lot of money on participating in what's called the National Publicity Summit. I'm meeting with producers of the Today Show, Good Morning America, over 75 different producers from television, radio, newspaper, and blog influencers to share the programs that we have in order to get coverage on those shows and networks. So we can ratchet up, right, our ability to help people. We have our Crazy Ambitious Activities program. If you're interested in sports, if you're interested in religion, if you're interested in media, if you're interested in just about any topic, we have the program where you can go in and sign up for it. You want to meet the Pope? We got a program where you can meet the Pope, right? And to get him to endorse our programs based on our twin programs of kindness and climate change, which are his programs. Okay, so this is a really cool, ambitious way to do it. And when you do something like this, we're going to interview you and put you in a book. Okay, you know, so you can go ahead and have continued outreach and exposure, right, and impact for what you've done. Because when you do something like this, no one can ever take it away from you. It will stick with you for your entire life in a positive way. If you're in business and you did some work with Apple Computer, right, but you're no longer working with Apple, okay, it's hard for you to say, oh yeah, Apple Computer was one of my clients, because you're no longer working for them. Okay, but I can say, hey, I put out a national newsstand magazine that helped people with relationships. At the same time, I put out a best-selling board game. I'm the only person in the country that's ever done both of those things at the same time. So I have my claim to fame. Yay, I can retire. No, I'm not retiring. Sorry. Okay, this is what I'm doing. Okay, so, you know, we have our public service announcements. You can create public service announcements on our programs. And there's a whole competition to do that. And you can, if you're in a fraternity, sorority, you can have your sorority, make up a whole bunch of these, challenge other sororities, right? Challenge other chapters in other schools, right? And then people vote on what they're doing. You have campaigns, people vote on it, you get recognition and rewards for what you do. Meanwhile, you're helping a hell of a lot of people. Okay, so we have programs for corporations from A to Z. We have sponsorship programs. We have public speaking engagement programs. We have, you know, consultation programs. We have summits. We're going to be doing a summit on a cruise. We're going to do like a 3-4 day cruise, and people are going to come in, and then they're going to get exposure to our program. Speakers on serum and all these other things are going to be there, and it's gonna be a hell of a lot of fun and a hell of a lot of food and a lot of comedy clubs. Right, but we're planning that this September. Right, we have one planet, one people. That's a game that we're going to be developing. We have a portal that we're developing where people all over the world can go into the portal, and when they don't have good internet access, they don't have good computers, they can go to kiosks that are set up in shopping areas and in schools and in certain faith-based organizations, and they can get in there, they can log in, they can participate in their programs, they can share, they can make videos, share videos, and really make an impact in the world. And this is how we connect people. We have community partnership centers where the institutions, right, faith-based and whatever, will recommend people to the center. This is not what, you know, your YMCA does as a center. This is not social services that go ahead and provide things for low-income people. This is for everyone. So there's school programs, after-school programs, there's work programs, educational programs, health programs, protection programs, legal programs, debt programs, savings, taxes, retirement, business programs, partnership programs. Oh my God, all these programs, and they're all under one roof. And our goal is to have these in communities all over the United States, all over the world. Okay. And let's see, now we're coming to the end. We've got a gallery. We've got hundreds and hundreds of pictures of people participating in our programs pre-COVID-19, right? We got our supporters. We got a Google grant, Simon Property Group, right? Peace Corps, we're vetted by the Peace Corps, United Nations, other NPO, NGOs, universities, businesses, faith-based organizations. We've been in the news in all these different places. Okay, we've got sponsorship programs. We got all these, you know, gift things that people can do in addition to our books. We have a management team of really great people. We have oh, this is just my background. I got tired of putting pictures of me in there. So I put my cat in there. So that I say hi to Nova. Okay. I played ping pong in Russia and China, right? Where they're like, oh, Medicana is very good. Okay. How to show. Okay. And let's see. This is Alice, who's the head of now Threshold Architects, which is our joint venture in the architectural and sustainability area. And like I said, she's done huge development programs and environmental programs for companies, Apple, Bank of China, Bosch and Lomb, Calvin Klein, Cigna, Exxon, Fuji, Gucci, General Electric, Hitachi, MasterCard, McKinsey, Procter and Gamble, Sony Pictures, Tiffany, and right, she's going back to all these companies once the Threshold website is up in the next couple of weeks. PAC is having a whole redesign of its website also in a couple of weeks. We're introducing our PAC app, which you scan, is adding more and more of these programs from the one book into the app, as well as how to go ahead and do what you want to do through the app and bring the programs, you know, to your communities. We're setting up also another app, One Planet, One People, that'll be ready in by mid-September. And in that, we'll have memberships, we'll have every program will have its own community. So if you're dealing with Project Hope, you're going to have a community that you can go into, okay, and share things and get support. Planned Acts, all the other programs, right, have their own communities as well. And then also our courses will go through the One Planet, One People program app as well. Okay, so that is what we do in a very brief nutshell. Okay, it took a little longer today, so I apologize. But the next step is that I'm going to go ahead and put my phone number. Okay, this is the office number. And what you can do is 213-212-0257. You can text into this number and, you know, say hello, say who you are, say, you know, that you were at the orientation and you'd like to set up your one-on-one meeting with me. Brett, you're going to meet with me right away because we set that up before. And then in that one-on-one meeting, we're going to talk about your background, what your interests are, what programs you saw that you might be interested in, or I'll go ahead and customize it, recommend, and then you give me feedback as to yes, yes, or no, no, or no, no, yes, yes, whatever you want to say is fine. And our goal is to create a custom program for you where you go ahead and exceed your expectations and you're the hero. Okay. And that can transition from a volunteer program into an internship mentorship program. And from an internship mentorship program, it can transition into a career program. We're actually bringing people on board in different industries to learn what we do, to grow with what we do, and to really expand what we're doing. And we're doing it domestically initially, and then we're going to be doing it globally. So you're lucky you're all here. Okay, so you get first crack at it. But right, Julie, you got a few years to go. But you can still, you can go through, and if you need to go ahead and work a little bit, you can work on a part-time basis after you go through the volunteer program where you can earn income. Okay, you can actually earn income based on your performance. So even if you're volunteering, but you've done some of the things that we expect you, and you show the characteristics that we want, okay, and you build a team, right? You can go ahead and, you know, earn money while you're with the organization, even before you graduate. Okay. I know a lot of people come into us and want to volunteer, and we say, you can earn money. And they go, no, we just want to volunteer. And I'm like, okay, but if we give you money, right, you know, you can always give it back to us as a donation. Okay. And they go, yeah, we can do that. I'm like, okay, fine. Right. As long as we give it to you. So we work a lot of different ways. And, what we look for in our people are, do they have the desire to be aligned with an organization that really wants to be of service to other people? Do they have the determination to do what it takes, right? To do things sometimes a little differently that's outside their wheelhouse in order to have the impact with other people that they say they want to have in the world? Are they willing to learn? And most importantly, are they willing to take action on what they learn? There's a lot of people want to learn, but then when it comes to taking action, that's where they freeze up. And they're like, nah, I don't know if I can do that. Well, if you want to have that impact, you got to take the action. Okay. And then fifth, you got to make that commitment in terms of time and effort to be successful. Because a lot of people have desire, they have, the willingness to learn, right? But they're not going to put in the time that it takes for them to accomplish what they say they want to accomplish. So you've got to make an effort. You've got to put in some time. And fortunately with us, you can do it nights, evenings, weekends, weekdays, completely, flexible in terms of schedule. We can do things remotely. And we're literally available 7 days a week, 20 hours a day. Okay, so the next step is you text into that number, and then you're also going to text into my number, which is the 917, sorry, I have dyslexia, so it sometimes comes out. Okay, 917-683, I should just stop talking and type it, 2625. So that's my number directly, and you're going to text me your name and say hi, and so that I can add you. Whoops, did I just wipe out everything? Okay. So I can add you to my phone, because the way that our meetings and everything takes place, it's not from you doing some work and turning in an assignment and getting a grade. That's school. Okay. The way that you really learn and excel with our programs is by going ahead and doing some objectives, and then presenting what you're doing, and then getting feedback on it, revising what you're doing, and then getting feedback on that and revising it again until you get it up to the level that we need to present it to CEOs, C-suite, to founders of nonprofits and faith-based, to government agencies, to leaders and influencers around the world. We have this whole push of going into celebrities and athletes and people like this to support them in the causes that they support in order to help make them more successful, and in terms of the people that they help in conjunction with our programs. So the thing is, in order to go ahead and deal with that level of people, we've got to have the level of materials up to our standard. And the thing is that where school and where people are, they can design things, create things, whatever, work on things. And really 80% of the population, even higher, is going to look at what they do and say, oh yeah, that's fine. That's good. The difference is those people are not applying any analysis to the work that you're doing. They're just looking at it. There's no critical thinking involved. When we go ahead and we approach Pfizer, right? So that we're talking to the head of their sustainability department, you bet you're sweet, you know what? There's a lot of analysis going on, right? From the time that we go open our mouths to the time we go ahead and show them something. And that's why they're willing to work with us, because what the feedback that we get is, I've been in the business for decades, for 20, 30 years, and I've never seen programs like this. And I understand how they can work. That's why we have our senior volunteer success team, which has people like Bryce in it, who's 37 years in government. And the biggest project he brought into the city of Detroit was a $500 million healthcare complex. And he was in charge of business development for the city. So when he looks at our programs, you bet he's critical. And I just met with him for an hour and a half this morning, right? And gave him a whole bunch of work to do. Right? And he's happy. Okay. And we got other people just like that. Okay. And you'll be working with some of those people. You'll meet these people. You'll have the opportunity, right, to get mentored by them, okay, in either the volunteer or the internship program or whatever, or work with them on the success team projects that you're working on. Okay, so the next steps are, right, text into the office. You're going to get then a profile that you're going to fill out. You're going to answer some questions. You're going to send in your headshot. And then you're going to have a memorandum of understanding associated with that, which governs, you know, how we work together, even on a volunteer basis. And once you do that, then we also go ahead and set up, you know, your one-on-one, and we meet with you. I meet with you personally again, and we go through and we create your custom program, and you can have an appointment Thursday or Friday of this week if you want it. Okay, we'll get you the information by the end of the day today. Our end of the day is a little bit different. It's not 5 o'clock. It's not 6 o'clock. It's more like 2 o'clock in the morning, but you'll get it anyway, right? And then we go from there. And if you know people that might be interested in any of the things that, you know, we shared today, by all means, let them know. Don't explain it to them, please. They'll go, huh, what? Right? Right? You bring them into an orientation, they get to learn about it firsthand, and then it's up to them how they want to participate. You know, we go ahead and share our information with everyone. You don't have to worry about, hey, this person doesn't want it. They're too rich, they're too poor, they're too busy, they're too lazy. We ask you not to make that type of judgment against people, because somebody could be really rich and see what we do and decide to do it. Somebody could be really poor, see what we do and love it, decide to do it. Somebody could be too busy, and guess what? All of a sudden now they have the time to do it because it resonates with them. Somebody could be the laziest son of a gun, like your brother or your sister, right? See what we do, and all of a sudden, wow, they got a new career. Okay, so don't make the judgment, share with people. That's one of the things that we'll get you to do. We'll teach you how to do that. And right, you can also build a team to help you with your mission of success and really make that impact that you want to see in the world. And that's all I got to say about it. Right. This is Forrest Gump. So this is Lyle Benjamin signing off. I was always going to do a Forrest Gump impersonation. Okay. Anybody have any questions about anything that I've gone over? Anybody want to share their thoughts about it? Okay. And Anita, we didn't have a chance to hear from you. If you'd like, you can open up your mic and you can say, introduce yourself, say who you are, say maybe what you studied in school and why you might want to volunteer with our organization. That would be great.
Okay, hello, I'm Anita. So I'm a mom of two. One is 12 years old and one is 6. So I'm a mom of two, and then it's a long break for me. I was back in India. In 2008, I was working for a while, and then I came here. So it was like all these years I was behind my family and my kids, raising them. And for myself, I want to do something that makes me happier. Even I'm happy what I'm doing already, but still I want to do something for the community. I want to do volunteering so that I feel I'm doing something. So I like to communicate with people. I'm more like a social person.
Sure.
So yeah, that's why I'm here.
Well, we got lots of programs. I know you missed some of them, but when you
Yeah,
come back
yeah.
in, we'll talk, and I'll
Yeah,
go
sorry
over.
about that. I was in the car line to pick up my son in the school.
Yeah, no problem at all. No worries. And we have school programs for
Uh-huh.
kids that are in your kids' age range. So you
Oh.
can learn about those programs and bring them into your school, your kids' school, and then other schools in your community, and even back in India. India has one of the best NGO programs, you know, in the world as far as how people participate. So we have a lot of connections with NGOs here in the United States that are from India. Brahma Kumaris, I don't know if you're familiar with them. They're huge. We do their Peace in the Park program. So we got lots of ways that we can connect, and I'll be more than happy to talk to you. right, about those. So you can be the hero to your kids, right?
Yeah.
And that would be wonderful. So thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else care to share?
So I have one doubt. So how many hours you expect if I'm joining? Like how many hours you will be expecting me to volunteer?
We'll go through that when we actually have our one-on-one.
One-on-one. Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
because it really depends on the programs that you pick.
Okay, okay.
Different programs have kind of like a different hourly setup because
Okay.
you want to have that impact, right?
Uh-huh.
But you want to do a 16 things book, and you got to put in some time to really make that happen. But we'll
Okay.
go through that. We'll go through it.
Okay, okay. Thank
cool.
you then.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Julia, you good?
Yeah, that was a lot of information, but I am so happy that I listened to all of that. That was honestly like amazing. And I'm so happy that Rebecca texted us in our group chat and I researched about this organization. But yeah, so my question is, so you're like based in New York City, is that correct?
Yes.
Right? But now it's kind of expanding throughout the country and hopes around the
Well,
world.
it's always been in existence kind of around the country through some of the programs that we have. Our internship program has always been in the United States with a lot of international students.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Okay.
So, okay.
But the thing is, the other programs that we're coming up with, we're doing launches on those to bring them into global communities
Mhm.
this fall. So every month,
Right.
September, October, November, December, we release a new book and we release a whole series of programs. And in 2023, that's the year of One Planet, One People, which is the umbrella for all of these programs.
Right.
And that's when we launched the collaboration think tank. But meanwhile, in the fall, we've been building up, right, the companies and the organizations that are participating in this. One of the things that we're doing, right, in public policy is we're going to governors, mayors, and we're asking them for proclamations. We're going to senators and representatives, asking them for resolutions. We're going to business, faith-based, asking them for letters in support of different programs that we have.
Mhm.
So like on our walls in our office here, we have some proclamations that were done by governors a few years back. And, we've got governors and mayors, we've got dozens and dozens and dozens of proclamations. Okay.
Sure.
And they're really cool.
Yeah.
Actually, the city of Los Angeles has like one of the nicest ones. It's really
Yeah.
gorgeous. Okay. And we'll be doing the same thing, but then we'll be bringing the programs into those same areas. And this is an opportunity, right, for you to work on things that are really, really major and really affect a lot of people. And that's why the team building aspect, and we have steps. We have all the steps. There's an action pack that governs how you build a team. And you have the opportunity to build it not only in your sorority, which is a chapter, but in the national organization. And we've got a system through our books of tying in all the Greek-kin sororities around the country. Okay, so they're all aware of what we're doing. We feature 32 of them in a book. Okay, the book acts as a fundraiser for your chapter and for your national organization.
Right.
So we're definitely going to talk about that. Okay?
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
the books form the basis of workshops called One Planet, One People. So if we put out 100,000 books, okay, we give scholarships of 500 books and materials to every featured expert who appears in the book. There's 32 of them. That's 16,000 people who can go through the One Planet, One People workshops right away. They read out loud the problem scenario and then what the two experts say, because each of the 16 problems has two experts that address it, that say why we need to solve it and what we need to do to solve it. And it's got their color picture in there. It's got their social media engagement, their email, okay? And during the course of these 8 to 12 week workshops, what happens is they form better quality relationships. They form a stronger sense of community. And those are the two keys to having healthier, happier lives that we talked about before with the Karma Club. But also they can form into smaller groups and they can take action on a local, national, or global scale. The workshops are entirely free once someone has a book. In the book, it tells you how to start your own workshop. So someone who has a book can start a workshop and can have 10, 20 people participate. So from 100,000 books with a readership of 500,000, we could have workshops being held on these issues, Brett, that impact 250,000 people, 500,000 people.
Yeah,
Okay. That's making a difference in the world.
right.
So you got to think, whatever scale you think on, we think on an entirely different scale.
Guys, give me a minute. I'll be right with you. Okay, give me a minute.
Sure. So that's the thing. Okay. And, you know, for you, you know, you have accomplishments like what we're talking about, and those go on your resume, and you have a portfolio. We help you develop a portfolio, and you do this for a number of, right? And if you wanted to go out and get a job, you can go out and get a job. I guarantee you, right? Your name will go into the books. How many people you think are applying for positions in companies where their name is in a book and their acknowledgement is in the book?
Not many.
How about 99.999999999999999, stop me, right, are not going to have that to show. And guess what? What companies want to see is not just your grades. They want to see what you've accomplished.
Right. I 100% agree.
And they want you to make it quantifiable.
Right.
And we're going to do both.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Sounds good.
So think about, and you'll get materials from me about how to do all this stuff.
Okay.
You don't have to recreate the wheel. I'll give you the damn car. I've been reading a lot about Tesla. Okay. So that's good. Brett has disappeared for a bit. He'll come back on. Okay. So we're done. Okay. And I really appreciate you all taking the time out of your schedules, right, to listen to something very long and overwhelming. But we wanted to give you the scope of what we do, and for you to have the opportunity to say, you know what, I had no idea about this, but you know, those community partnership centers really resonate with me that were at the end of the presentation, because I would love to have one of those in my neighborhood. Okay. And can you show me how I can do that? And the answer is heck yeah. Okay. So I look forward to talking to you again, and have a great day. Have a wonderful evening, and have a lot of health, happiness, and wellness, because we sure can use it out there.
Lyle, hold on for a second. Don't leave it. Okay, give me a minute.
Oh, okay. So we end our conversations with a smile and a wave. Okay. So take care, Anita. I hope to see you again. Okay, I hope you're smiling and waving, and text into that number, the 212, and we'll get you taken care of.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, Julia. Talk to you soon.